For a company with so many iconic franchises, 20th Century Fox has never really seen much success in the world of theme parks. With the Fox Studios Australia backlot, the only Fox theme park to ever open, not even surviving for 2 years. In the mid-2010s though, all of that was set to change, with a number of new and exciting Fox theme parks announced, with the most exciting being 20th Century Fox World Dubai. This park would have contained a wealth of attractions from incredibly popular franchises, from an animated family favorite to one of the most famous horror franchises of all time, and even one of the most adult franchises ever to be included in a theme park. Sadly, Fox World Dubai never came to fruition, and surprisingly, the reasons had nothing to do with the Disney acquisition of Fox. For ReviewTyme, I'm Luke, and this is the story of 20th Century Fox World Dubai. On the 5th of November 2015, the exciting partnership between 20th Century Fox and Al Ali Holding Group was officially announced, with the park set to be based on Fox's long legacy of film and television entertainment. Like a majority of the theme parks in the Middle East, 20th Century Fox World was set to be run under a licensing agreement, where Al Ali Holding Group, a major consumer services company in the UAE, would construct and run the park, paying licensing fees and royalties to 20th Century Fox. This park was said to just be the beginning of this partnership, with CEO Mohammed Khamas stating, "As part of our international deal with Fox, we look forward to building these destinations and resorts globally, starting with Dubai as the first location, and additional Fox-branded resorts that we hope to open across other territories in the future." The park was designed by Rethink Leisure and Entertainment, a company who has in the past worked with everyone from Walt Disney Imagineering to Universal Creative. The company drew up an incredible overview of the park filled with impressive attractions. With a lot of pre-planning work already complete at the announcement, the park was expected to begin construction within a year. The park was set to be located next to Al Ali Holdings' already existing outlet mall, which was right next to the plot of land once planned to be home to Universal Studios Dubai. Originally expected to open in 2018 after a 2-year construction period, estimates had the park's attendance sitting as high as 3 million visitors in its first year alone. But what would have awaited those guests inside this spectacular 75-acre park and resort? Let's find out. The park itself would have occupied a vast amount of space, consisting of a large variety of attractions, dining and entertainment options within 7 themed lands. According to Rethink Leisure and Entertainment, this was not to be a studio-style theme park with cheap flats and visible show buildings, but full of all-encompassing environments, and would have focused on large-scale elaborate dark rides rather than too many screen-based attractions. The entrance to the park would have started off your day with a visual spectacle, with the park's gates being situated under a large canopy with all of the park's franchises played upon it. This canopy was specifically designed to fit in with the architectural-centric designs of Dubai. Flanking the entrance on both sides would have been the world's first Fox-themed resort hotel. The 4-star hotel was set to feature over 300 rooms and appears to be split down the middle. The left-hand side hotel featuring a more ornate, upmarket look with a rooftop bar, and the right-hand side wing looking to be more family-friendly with an attached wave pool. One interesting thing to note about the layout of this park as a whole is that it's seemingly split into 2 areas, with more adult franchises in the north and more family-friendly franchises in the south. The park's Main Street area would have contained exactly what you'd expect: shops, restaurants, and even a large 20th Century Fox building at the entrance of the park that would have acted as this park's castle, drawing you in towards it. Inside would have been a space very similar to the Disney Animation Building at DCA, but looking at the legacy and franchises of Fox. This land would have contained a few attractions as well, with the first being Night at the Museum. Dragging you inside would be the famous Dum Dum Want Gum Gum Easter Island head, and within you would have found an interactive dark ride, utilizing flashlights to instigate movement and find characters coming alive throughout the scenes, very similar to Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek at Tokyo Disneyland. Another ride that appears to be in the park's Main Street area is a Blue Sky Studios carousel, where you can ride aboard Manny from Ice Age, Blue from Rio, or a handful of other characters I know nothing about, on an impressive double-decker carousel. This carousel acts as a transition point between the park's entrance and the trio of Blue Sky franchise lands that you would stumble onto next. First was Ice Age, featuring a large-scale dark ride in one of the park's largest show buildings. Next around was a land themed to the 2013 film Epic, where humans shrink down to the size of bugs. This land would have let you experience that sensation of being as tiny as an insect in an impressively themed land featuring towering toadstools and plant life. 2 attractions would have been contained within the section, though they wouldn't have exactly been epic rides, with the first being a Dumbo-styled spinner and the second being a jumping jellyfish-styled paratower. The final section of the animation hat trick would have been Rio, a land where you could have met some living birds, though sadly not the Spix's macaw that the film is famously about, as since the release of the film they have unfortunately gone extinct. The major attraction in this section was flying over Rio, expected to be a Soarin'-type flight simulator where you fly over Rio. Moving past the family-friendly section of the park and into one of the least family-friendly franchises to ever be featured in a theme park, the Sons of Anarchy land, based off the hit TV show. A truly strange wild card of a land in a country where religious laws dictate how people dress and what they can or cannot eat or drink in public, meaning that a land based on a show filled with alcohol can't serve alcohol. The land looks to be very reminiscent of Cars Land at Disney California Adventure, featuring an impressive man-made mountain range. Speeding through that mountain range was set to be a Vekoma booster bike roller coaster, which also traveled through a large number of show buildings. A large upper right portion of the park would have been dedicated to Planet of the Apes, and more specifically, the 2010's reboot of the franchise, focusing on Rise and Dawn of Planet of the Apes. Visibly weaving through the entire land was an impressive-looking river raft ride, which had its finale drop over the edge of the hydroelectric dam. Also in the land was a large-scale recreation of the Ape Village from the films, including an explorable tree for guests to climb around in. Another interesting choice for a family-friendly theme park is Alien, a large land that appears to be set on Acheron LV-426, and more specifically, Hadley's Hope, a research and mining colony first seen in the second film in the franchise, Aliens. However, in some concept art, it appears to be set in a timeline where there's no direct threat to the colony, with part of it featuring a bustling commercial and dining hub. As well as getting your picture taken with the M577 armored personnel carrier, you could ride the land's 2 attractions. First was a flat ride, looking to be a giant version of the P5000 powered workloader Ridley used to destroy the alien queen. The second attraction was a large dark ride, the largest in the park. Though this is one of the least known aspects of the entire Fox park, with no concept art or even story treatments being revealed for the ride. Finally was one of the lands I was most excited for, a true ground-up Simpsons land. I enjoy the lands at Universal, but they leave me wanting more, and Fox Dubai would have delivered. You could have stepped into a fully explorable Springfield town square, where you could dine on a Krusty Burger, sip on a Squishy, or trade some comics at the Android's Dungeon. Inside the Springfield nuclear power plant, would have been an amazingly themed space shot ride where Homer appears to be left in charge, meaning it isn't long until you're blasted out of one of the 2 cooling towers of the power plant. Elsewhere in the land would have been Krusty's Carnival, an indoor area featuring an itchy and scratchy Dumbo-styled spinner, as well as the Abracadabra, a Zampala disco. The Springfield Town Hall also appears to contain an attraction, but not much is known about it, apart from its name being the Springfield Expo. Throughout the development of the park, a number of other lands and attractions were designed as well, including a Book of Life themed land and dark ride, as well as a rather sizable Futurama land, with an amazingly themed Chance Rides Unicoaster flat ride. Also, just outside the park would have been the Gateway, designed to connect it with the already existing Dubai Outlet Mall. This would have been a themed retail and dining street featuring unique offerings based on Fox properties, such as a Moulin Rouge dinner theatre. Ultimately, the licensing agreement between Fox and Al Ali Holdings allowed for 4 theme parks to be developed, but ultimately, we got 0. So what happened? AAH had made big, grandiose theme park promises in the past that ultimately never came to fruition, with them being the company behind the huge Dubai Marvel theme park, first announced in 2007 for a 2014 opening, something that also never saw the light of day or even broke ground. Ultimately, 20th Century Fox World Dubai would go the exact same way, though this time, AAH decided to blame the oversupply of theme parks in the area for not going forward with the project. A decision that ultimately was probably wise, as in 2017, Dubai Parks and Resorts opened with 3 distinct theme parks. Expected to welcome over 6.7 million guests in its first year of operation, it only drew in 2.3 million guests, a third of the expected numbers. 10 years ago, Dubai looked to be the up-and-coming theme park destination. But sadly, so little of those grandiose plans have come to be, and parks from Universal, Six Flags, and even Disney have all seen themselves be cancelled. So it's not surprising that one from 20th Century Fox would go the same way. Of course, this park would see itself announced and even paused before the big Fox and Disney acquisition would begin discussion. At the beginning of this episode, though, we noted that this was the second announced Fox theme park, and surprisingly, the first announced looks to actually open this year, 8 years after its announcement. The story of Fox World Malaysia, though, is a much bigger story for a different day, and one where Disney is definitely involved. After the pandemic, who knows what Dubai's tourist prospects will look like, but sadly, I don't think we will ever see the day where it becomes the new theme park capital of the world. From the home of all things theme parks, I'm Luke for ReviewTyme. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If so, be sure to like and subscribe, and also tune into our podcast, ReviewTyme's Theme Park Cast, available on your podcasting platform of choice.